Hey Coyote fans, welcome into the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. The Coyote Volleyball team, as we talked about, busy stretch that they just wrapped up with 3 matches last week. Here to talk about it, the head coach of the Coyotes, Leanne Williamson. Coach, a very busy week, successful in that you win more than you lose, 2-1. Tough start to the week in that 5-set loss to South Dakota State last week.
Yeah, it was a tough week, but obviously on that Tuesday, that was our only focus, and I was really happy with the way we played up there. You know, obviously South Dakota State's having a great year, and we gave ourselves chances to not only win games but win the match. So overall, I thought we handled the environment pretty well. It took us that first set, I think, to really get into a rhythm. We just didn't quite look like ourselves, but once we kind of hit our stride, I felt like we were in a really good spot, and being able to withhold some late surges in 2 of those sets as well, but obviously couldn't quite pull it out in that 4th set, and then unfortunately they had all the momentum going into the 5th, and we had a hard time rallying there. But I think the thing that we look at after watching film, after talking through it as a staff, is we had the right opportunities. We were not only in it, but we were ahead in some of those situations where we got the right people involved. We had good looks. We just didn't quite execute, or they made some really good plays, and then that's going to happen. But we definitely feel like we had a pretty good game plan, kind of understood what we were going to see. We just lost our execution in some of those stretches, which just made it hard for us to be able to pull out the win.
There was a handful of errors on your side throughout that entire match that a few of those go a different way. Maybe the result of the match is a little bit different. Are those forced by the other team, or a lot of those maybe like internal things on your side of the net?
I think a little bit of both. I think they're a very good blocking team, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges when you're facing them is you've got 6'3", 6'4", across the net from you, and not only long but are physical, are able to play at a high point as well. So I think the blocking at times caused us challenges, but honestly, there were times that we did really, really well with it. So it wasn't necessarily our aggressive swings that we struggled with. It was more of when we were trying to manage, when we were trying to maybe get the ball to certain people, that we just didn't quite clear the block in those moments. But to me, those are kind of smaller changes. It's just they're probably the longest team that we had seen in a while at that point in time. So that created some challenge for us.
Tough loss, of course, in 5 sets. You use a lot of energy in that matchup. You get home late Tuesday night, turn around to play on Thursday. Got to be proud of the way this team responded on Thursday against Denver.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously that Tuesday match, physically it was hard. It was also emotionally hard, coming back, and we felt the highs and we felt the lows, So we had a pretty good practice on Wednesday. We were able to kind of get back in the gym and focus on a couple things that we felt like we needed to get better at. And then I liked the way we responded at home. Even though I think we should have probably been able to pull that out in 3 sets with the lead that we had in that third, that's what we are going to continually see. And that doesn't just end because we're towards the end of the season at this point. So Denver made some plays, we made some errors and, pushed it to the 4th set, but then we were down late in the 4th and we're able to come back and find a way to kind of claw for a win there. So, resiliency is one of the things that we've talked a lot about within our team. And that's something that we definitely saw out of ourselves on Thursday night.
What was better Thursday than maybe on Tuesday that allowed your team to find a way to get a win?
I think we were able to defend at a pretty high level, honestly. I think offensively, Denver had gotten a lot better from the first time around. And we defended, I still think we defended that fairly well, overall. I mean, teams are good. Like if they're in system, they're going to score points. And I felt like we limited some of their attackers, like we needed to in order to be able to kill the ball in transition on the back end. Again, between Tuesday and Thursday, it was probably more so just an execution piece. But like I said, we did a lot of really good things on Tuesday too. We were just challenged at a really high level as well.
Your team then has to go on the road to Kansas City on Saturday, and I'm thinking, man, they've used all this energy all week. You got a road game now. How is Saturday going to go? And again, this team fights through it, finds a way. I don't know how they had the energy on Saturday, but they figured it out.
Adrenaline.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely helps. It was a long day on Friday. You know, we get up, a couple of them had class in the morning. We took off late morning, and then the trip took a while. You know, there's always traffic in Kansas City. We get there a little bit later than we anticipated. We started our practice. We had a fire alarm in the middle of our practice where we had to evacuate and waited around for a little while, and then finally just made the decision not to practice, not to finish practice at that time. So there's all the different types of adversity that you hit, and you know, we rearranged our schedule a little bit on Saturday, but I felt like our team handled that really well. You know, and that's something that I was very proud of them for, because some teams might not have been okay without that practice, and our team handled it really, really well.
You know, the fire alarm situation, you never know how you have to get out. You don't know how long it's going to be before you get back in. And trying to get geared back up for practice, that would have been a challenge.
Well, it was already later, too. I mean, at about 8 o'clock, we had been outside for probably 15 minutes at that point in time. No end in sight. And luckily, we had taken our stuff quickly with us. So we were able to just get on the bus and go back. And I think in a lot of ways, it was probably actually maybe good for our team. Just it was a physically challenging week. So the fact that they could go back and just rest and recover a little bit more before focusing back up on Saturday, maybe it played well in our favor.
We're going to talk to Amanda Loschen coming up in the Coyote Volleyball Show and talk about a player that has really increased her minutes and has really started to become one of the more consistent attackers for your team.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about our depth all year, and, you know, we knew that Amanda, even when she wasn't on the court, we knew that she would be a good option for us in a couple different positions. So you saw her going on the right side occasionally, we saw her going in the middle, but then, you know, a couple weeks ago, we made that switch, and I think she's just, I think really taken off from there. Her confidence level is high. I think she's doing a great job defensively, blocking wise. She's getting her hands on a lot of balls, and making their attackers do something different, which is, it's been really beneficial for us as a team. And then offensively, Avery and her have a really good connection. She's able to move the ball around. We're able to get her the ball at, 10 feet off the net, even 12 feet off the net at times, and makes us a little bit harder to defend when we can keep our middles involved when we're that far off. So I think she continues to get better. I think she continues to learn, and I hope that obviously we can continue to see that out of her.
We'll talk to Amanda coming up next. Still to come on the Coyote Volleyball Show, we will be rejoined by head coach Leanne Williamson to talk about the week ahead. A couple of home matches for this team and well-earned home matches for South Dakota. That's all ahead. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. Great to have you for another show. I'm John Thayer. We're joined this week by Amanda Loschen, who has continued to play well for Coyote Volleyball. Amanda, you take a look at the season, where we're at now. I don't know if it's flying by for you, but It feels like the season just flying by for this group.
Yeah, it's definitely flying by. We only have 3 more home games left. So this weekend we have our senior night, which is going to be fun. But yeah, it's crazy how fast it's gone.
What has the season been like for you as you look back and assess it? And obviously here over the last few weeks, your time on the floor has continued to grow and you're playing at a very high level. But how do you assess this season?
Yeah, so I think I've just worked on improving every game, and every time that I've been able to step on the floor, just improving my game and helping the team as a whole, whether that be hitting or blocking, and maybe if my hitting isn't there, focusing more on my blocking and vice versa.
What do you try to work on individually so that when you get your opportunity, you're ready for it?
Yeah, so over the off season, we worked a lot on the mental side of the game, and I think just being prepared for when my moment comes mentally so I can take my opportunities and kind of just use them to the fullest potential and play at my highest level.
You've worked into being one of the more consistent players here recently on the floor. What has that surge been like for you, just emotionally and physically, to be out on the floor as much as you are now?
Yeah, for sure. I've worked a lot with Avery on our connection. So we've worked a lot, and just her trusting me and me trusting her to get me the ball. Even in out of systems opportunities, it kind of just opens up our offense a lot altogether. If I'm scoring at a high rate, then our pins are definitely going to score at a higher rate because the blockers have to stay with me and have to stay with our pins. So I think just really focusing on working on our connection on and off the court, and I think just as a team supporting each other. I have gotten so much support from our team, and as I've continued to play well, I think it's awesome how much we root for each other, and they just support me a lot, and that helps a lot. So
I think it's funny you talk about the connection with Avery, because people probably think that's a very simple thing, but it's a lot of timing and a lot of trust that has to happen.
Yeah. So we work a lot on our connection, whether it be ones like in front of the setter or behind the setter. If she's off the net or on the net, it's really different. And my timing has to be right, and her ball placement has to be right. So we work a lot on communicating. And if the ball isn't there, then I go and make sure I talk to her and be like, okay, what was that? It wasn't you, it was me. That's a great ball, and just making sure that we have really effective communication, so we can be as efficient as we can.
We've talked to Coach Williamson all season long about the depth on this team, and you're a great example of that. Didn't see as much time on the floor early in the season, seeing more now. How has the depth of this team continued to not only help it in matches, but maybe in practices as well?
Yeah, for sure. Every day it helps so much, because every day we are challenged in practice. Playing against each other, everyone in every position is extremely talented. So it's really, really hard. I think the depth makes us work harder every day in practice to be our best, give our 100%, because we have to earn the spot every day in practice. So I think our depth has definitely created a lot of positives and created people to play at a very high level.
You've played enough volleyball to know you're going to go through stretches where you can get kills like crazy, and there's other stretches where you're not finding maybe the lanes that you want. How do you yourself stay in it mentally when you're going through one of those struggles? Because you keep swinging, eventually you're going to click.
Yeah. So just relying on my teammates. I think looking at them when things aren't going well, not focusing on things not going well, but trying to find the positive in things. So focusing on our teammates and making eye contact with them. We talk a lot about that, eye contact, and staying together as a team, and bringing our huddle tighter when maybe we are struggling, and trying to talk through that, and really just supporting each other. And I think everyone kind of has their one person that they can go to and get extra support from, and I think that's really important.
Who's the vocal leader when you need it in that huddle?
I would say Elena does a really good job of taking charge and just giving us positivity and a lot of encouragement when we need it.
How was the last couple of weeks? A lot of matches, not a lot of rest time, recovery time, any of that. So how did your team get through that? Obviously, you did it with a lot of wins, but how did you get through it, and how are you taking advantage of this week with a couple of days before matches? Yeah,
it was definitely challenging. We were talking about we tried not to talk so much about the challenge during it. We tried to focus on the positive, but after we were like, gosh, that was a hard stretch. We played almost every one of our practices was a pre-game practice. So just really focusing on recovery, and whether that be getting ahead in school and getting ahead physically so we can be there mentally when it comes for the game time. We really had to rely on each other and just making sure that we're holding each other accountable of taking care of ourselves physically. And it was hard, but it was fun. Game days are the best. They're so fun. So
Home game days are even better.
Yes.
You get 2 of those this week, starting Thursday against North Dakota. For anyone who has not yet come out to watch this team in person, why should they come out this week?
Yes. So we have 2 big games this week. First of all, on Saturday we have our senior game, and then Thursday we play UND. Last time we played UND, it was a really good 5-set match. So we're hoping for another win. I feel like just the SCSC creates such an electric environment. I think especially like our win against NDSU in 5 sets, we were down in the 5th set, and I think our crowd really brought us back into that game. So I think our crowd is so powerful, and it creates a lot of momentum, and it's really fun to play there.
We're excited for a couple of home matches this week. Good luck this week, and thanks for the time.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, that's Amanda Loschen joining us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. When we come back, we'll talk to Leanne Williamson about the week ahead for Coyote Volleyball. They'll take on North Dakota Thursday, Oral Roberts on Saturday. That's still to come. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee, amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back on the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. We're visiting with head volleyball coach Leanne Williamson. Her team back home this week for a couple of matchups against North Dakota and Oral Roberts. Coach, before we get into that, 6 matches left in the regular season, 3 home, 3 on the road. But, boy, it seems I know we're getting to November, but, gosh, it seems like this thing just flies by.
It really does. It's crazy. I can still think back to our first day of preseason. I can think back to our first exhibition. I can think back to our first conference match. And the season really does fly by once you get into it, especially with these last 2 weeks, having the 5 matches in 10 days. Once you're in it until the end there. So looking forward to being able to obviously slow down here a little bit, but, things are getting closer to the end. So we keep talking about being in the present, continue to be where your feet are and making sure that we're not looking back, we're not looking ahead, because there's a lot more, obviously, that we have to accomplish.
You do look back in a little bit, though, because you look back at where are we at for now compared to where we were at the late part of August when the season was getting underway. From your seat, how far has this team come in the last couple of months?
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun to go back and watch some of those matches. And I will tell you, these last 2 weeks, I haven't had time to necessarily go back to preseason matches, but we're in that mix right now where we're going back and watching the first time we played that opponent. So going into UND this week, we will watch that match and we'll be able to learn, things that did go well, things that didn't go well. And I think what's fun about that is not only are we looking at the match itself as a whole, but we're also looking at individual personnel. We're looking at the team of just how far we've come, whether it's offensively, defensively, serve and pass wise. And I think we look very different in a great way. I think we have improved a lot. I think our confidence has grown a lot. And I'm really happy to see the strides that this team has taken. But we still have a few weeks where we can continue to learn and grow and keep getting a little bit closer to obviously our best.
Back home this week for a couple of matchups, and it starts on Thursday with North Dakota, a team that took your team to 5 sets up in Grand Forks earlier this season.
Yeah, and that was a match that I think we saw kind of the highs and the lows at times of this team. So, I'm looking forward to being able to match up with them again and just kind of see again what we can accomplish this time around. But I think we've gone to 5 the last 3 times up there, so we kind of expected a battle. I obviously would have liked to be able to close that out a little bit sooner, but that 5th set, for people that remember, we got out to a really big lead early on, which was really great to see of just how we could sustain that success for a good period of time there. So they're a little bit different. They've got some people playing in different positions right now, in different areas of the floor. So we have to be prepared for that. We have to probably be prepared for different lineups, which will be a different type of look for us. But looking forward to the match.
After a busy couple of weeks stretch here, your team couple of days in between matches now finally, so a chance to use some of that for body recovery. With that said, what do you need to see out of this group this week?
Yeah, I think you said it. Some of it is recovery. We have a few people that will probably limit jumps a little bit more this week because of that 2-week stretch that was really difficult physically, mentally, emotionally, all the above. But at the same time, there's some more specific keys that we feel like it's not going to take us weeks to fix, but it's got to be a couple things that we can improve on. And whether it's hitting efficiency of just understanding what's available and making sure that we're hitting those shots consistently, or defensively, making sure that we're disciplined in that area. So I think we're in a good spot right now, but we just want to use this week to actually have a couple practices, full practices at home where we can tweak things.
Good luck this week. Enjoy it. A couple of matches at home. I know your team very much deserves it, and we'll be excited to be at home.
Thank you.
All right, that's Leanne Williamson, the head volleyball coach at the University of South Dakota. That's going to do it for us this week. This has been the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.